Welcome to the Cook's Place. This morning we're doing two things that I love best. One is doing very simple recipes with beautiful local ingredients, and the other is just testing new products, changing the recipe, putting things in to see if it might work, and they usually do. We're going to make a sauce to go with the Yorkshire pasta. This is made about 7 miles from here and it's absolutely wonderful. So we're going to use the penne, which I'm going to cook as per the packet instructions, because the one thing that I realised with that is Catherine, who makes it, is right, and it doesn't take long to cook, so it's not even going to take as long as normal dried pasta would. So the pan of water is on and we'll put that in a moment. But what we need to start off is the base of the sauce, which is butternut squash. We're going to make it into nice neat cubes. We're going to roast it with some cherry tomatoes and then add it into the sauce. So I've peeled a piece of the butternut squash. I'm just going to use my large cook's knife to make some dice and then straight onto the board. And I've made this recipe a few times now and I've always used Wharfe Valley's chili oil, but there's a secret product to my left here, which is a trial we're doing with the beautiful chili and ginger oil. So let's see what the audience thinks at the end. Now, as you can see, the beautiful oil, but everything's sitting in the bottom, so I'm going to do what I call my snow globe shake. Everybody who loves Christmas and a snow globe, look at that. And don't go mad, but you can see the little bits coming out, so you know that the flavour's going to be in there. That's going to go into the oven for a couple of minutes, and then when it's just started to cook, those cubes are just a little bit softer, we're going to put on our cherry tomatoes and make that really roasted flavour. Red onion chopped, but it's in a dry pan at the moment and it's in a cold pan. The pan is not hot, we haven't heated it up with anything. I've also got my little bit of garlic here, which I could crush and put in and then add some oil, but I'm going to go with, choose from my shelf of beautifulness. I'm going to go with this, put a bit of a flavoured oil in there. Lots of all those nice warm flavours going on. And if you wanted to add extra hit with your garlic, don't chop it up, just put it in two pieces and then you can just bring it out at the end. So literally we'll pop those in when the sauce is cooking. Spatula, and the whole idea now is that we don't want to fry the onion, we just want to soften it. So the pan is cold, the heat goes on, so the heat is coming up through the pan and softening the onion. So I'm just taking the pan off, or I could be less lazy and just turn it down, because we don't want fried onion, we want softened onion. And then the other ingredients are pretty much what you would expect in an Italian sauce. We've got puree, we've got tomatoes, we've got celery for a bit of crunch, we've got some olives, capers or gherkins. I'm obsessed with gherkins, so we're going to have gherkins in there, and a little bit of balsamic vinegar. And then later, when the sauce is beginning to cook down, a bit of really dark chocolate. Oh! Just to richen it up a bit. Chopped parsley, and the garnish, you'll see that go on at the very end. The recipe says pine nuts, but what I've done is I've taken all the seeds out of the butternut squash and cooked them, and I cooked them in the rosemary oil. That's becoming nice and soft now, so we can start building up the flavours. So let's go in with the celery, all the bits and bobs in. What else am I going to put in just now? I'm going to go in with the gherkins. I'm going to go in with half the olives because they cook down, and it's quite nice to have a few just to put on at the end. Give those a stir. I'm just going to give that a minute, turn the heat up and just give it a minute or two to get the heat through there. And then we'll put in that puree. I'm going to put some lemon zest in as well.
So Julie, you mentioned the Yorkshire pasta.
Yes.
Why is the Yorkshire pasta better than an Italian pasta? Or why do you prefer it?
Food miles,
Yeah.
mostly. Along the same lines as why the fabulous rapeseed oil over olive oil. You know, we're thinking not only of the health value, but we're also thinking of where it's come from.
Yeah.
It has a beautiful taste because it's made with local flour and local water. So it's quite a brave thing to do for Catherine,
Yeah.
but she's now selling to a lot of Italian delis.
Fantastic.
You know, it's all good. And it was a very brave thing for a young girl to do. She launched the week of lockdown, and the day after she had the scan to find out that she was definitely pregnant. So it's been a busy year, busy year for her. Right, that's beginning to cook down. What I do need to do is just check on the butternut squash in the oven, which is beginning to cook, so I can just grab my cherry tomatoes, pop them on there, and put them into the oven and get those roasting down. Let's get the tomato in. Right, there we go with that. Let's get the can of tomatoes in. And this sauce, once I've got the can of tomatoes in, and I've got a splash of balsamic, stir it around. You could put some red wine in there.
Does the balsamic just have a hint
Just
of...
balances. We've got a lot of sweet flavours going on in there.
Yeah.
And you've got the oil, you've got oil over your vegetables in the oven, so it just cuts through. A little bit of zest.
Well, it's a very effective grater.
It's fun, isn't it? There's nothing worse than a blunt. It's like blunt knives. Blunt knives and blunt graters don't get my vote. Because we are always conscious of using salt. I could have put a big splash of salt in there, but many years ago, learnt from a fabulous chef Rosemary Schrager that salt and lemon juice are seasonings. Salt and lemon juice enhance the flavour, pepper's a spice, and it changes the flavour. So if at the very end you think, oh, it just needs a bit of pepper, that's fine. But putting the lemon juice in there has made all the flavours in the oil exaggerated. The tomato tastes more tomatoey, the celery tastes more like celery. Who knows, we're just guessing that. So that's going to cook down. We just need it to come up to the boil, lid back on the pan, get that up to boiling, and take the pasta. So I'm going to go, whatever, 1, 2, 3, let's say there's 4 of us.
So it's one handful
Pretty
per
much. I'm
person.
being a bit mean because we're just going to go a bit quicker. I've got my strainer and I've got a pan there because what we do want for the sauce is a little bit of the pasta water.
Yes.
That just brings the sauce together at the end. So beautifully. So check on my pumpkin and my tomatoes. I'm just going to start taking those off the stalk so that when we're ready to add them to the pasta, but they've just roasted down. They're not losing too much of their shape. And the smell of that oil, I can smell that. Beautiful. Bring in all those toasty bits. Something rather nice about the bits that are all around the edges. Look at that.
Rather nice.
Just give it a stir. I didn't put a timer on there. And I'm only doing a very small amount to give you an idea. Otherwise it's going to be too long. We need to get on and do some tasting.